Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome with a new video on Python for Excel. In the last video, we discussed what are lists, how we can create list by using a square bracket method, and we created a list of neighboring countries. After that, we discussed how we can get elements of list by using their index number. And we discussed that lists are based on zero-based indexing, which means that the first element of list has an index 0, the second element has 1 index, the third element has 2, and so on. Therefore, in order to get an element of a list by its index number, uh, we can get a specific element by specifying its index. Using list name, and in square bracket we mention the index of that particular element which we want. Then we discussed that how we can sort a list by using zero-based indexing. We also see that how we can sort a list in descending order or from last element to first element by using negative indexing. In that case, we used a minus sign, and the last element had an index -1. The second last index had an index -2. The third last index had an index -3, and so on. And we also discussed that we can sort elements of a list in a random sequence or random manner by using any index number, whether we use zero-based indexing or negative indexing. After that, we discussed how we can slice a list, which means that how we can get only few elements of a list based on their index number. In that case, we had to use an argument with the list name, and in the argument we had to specify the index of the starting element and the index of the ending element without including that element. Without including that element means that if we want a list to be sorted, or if you want a list, elements of a list from third element to sixth element, or say that from second element to fifth element, then the second element will have an index 1, because zero-based indexing, in zero-based indexing, the first element has an index 0. Therefore, if we want a list sliced from second element to fifth element, then we will give an argument, and the argument will be the starting index will be element 1, index 1, because the second element has an index 1, and the stop index will be 6, because we want the list to be generated from second element to fifth element. So we will specify 6 index in the stop position. So the list will be generated from second to fifth element, which means that up to sixth element without including that element. That is, the sixth element will not be shown in the list. So this was the slicing of a list. Now we will discuss some further functions that we can perform in a list. We'll see how we can add an element in a list. There are different methods of adding elements to a list. One of the method is append method. In that case, we use append function and give the element which we want add, specify the element which we want to add in our list, and append method adds an element at the last position of the list by default. So if we want to add another country in the list of countries, that additional country will be added in the last position of the list in append method. Another method to add an element in a list is insert method. In this case, we can add an element by specifying its position in the list. That is, we can place a new element in any position in a list by specifying that specific index number. If we want to add another element on the third position, then we will use an index 2 to add a new element at that index number or at that position. So let's see how we can add new elements in the list by using both the methods. So let's go to the Jupyter notebook. So we are on Jupyter notebook, and let's see how we can add new elements in a list by using append query and by using uh, insert method. So let's see how we can add a new element in a list by using append query, and let's use the same list which we created in our last video. That is neighboring countries. Let's copy this, and now after copying this, I'll give a dot and use append query. Inside the parentheses, I'll give the name of the new country which I want to add, and let's say I want to add Bhutan. When I run this, it is saved in the list, and let's see. Let's see where it is added. I will copy the name of the list again, and when I run this, I'll get the name of the country. And by using append method, earlier said that append method adds the new element in the last position of the list by default. So this was the append method to add a new element in the list. Let's add another country in the same list using insert method. And in insert method, we can use index number. We can add a new element at a specific position by providing its index number. So let's see how we can add the new element by using insert method. Again, we will use the name of the list, and after dot we will give insert method, and inside parenthesis I will provide the position at which I want the new element to be added or new country to be added. Let's see, I want to add a new country after China, and based on zero-based indexing, China has an index 1 because it is on the second position, and after that I want a new country to be added. So the index of that country will be 3. So I wrote 3, and after comma, I will give the name of the new country, and let's say it's Nepal. When I run this, a new country is added in the list and is stored in the list. And to get that country, I will copy the name of the country and run this. And let's see, I got Nepal after Afghanistan. So here I made a mistake. If I wanted to add Nepal after China, the index number of China is 1 because it is on the second position. And to add an element of the third position, I had to give an index number 2, but mistakenly I gave it number 3. So the new country is added after Afghanistan. So there was a mistake on my part. So a new country was added at the desired position, let's say at the index 3 or 4th position. So this was the insert method we can use to add a new element in a list by its position or add a specific position. So we saw how we can add new elements in the list. We can also join two lists or two or more lists. So there are different methods to combine two or more lists. We can combine two or more lists by just using a plus sign between the names of two lists. And there is also another method to combine two lists, and that is nested list. And we use a square bracket and a comma between the two lists to combine those two lists using nested list method. So let's see how we can combine two lists by using plus operator and nested list method. So let's go back to the Jupyter Notebook. Here we are on Jupyter Notebook, and let's first create a new list. And let's say I'm creating a list. So to create a list, I'll use the square bracket method, and I will specify the names of new countries. Let's say UAE, first country, and the second country is Russia, and the third country be USA. And on this, I'll get list, and to name that list, let's see, I name it aid giving countries is equals to, when I run this, output will disappear, and this list is stored in this variable. And to get that list, I will copy this variable and type this, and while run this, I will get the same list. So this is the second list, new list I created. And now let's see how I can use plus sign to combine those two lists. Sorry, to add new rows, press B, so that I got some new rows below the current cell, new cells below the current cells. And let's use the plus operator to combine the two lists. So by using plus method, I will just write the name of two lists. The first list is neighboring countries, so I copied it. Just copied the first list, and I paste it. Then I give a plus sign, and then I copy and paste the new list which I just created, and paste it. When I run this, I'll get the two lists combined. The first list ends at Bhutan, and the second list is appearing after the end of the first list. So these two lists are combined, and I can name this as combined list 1. Variable do not contain spaces, therefore I typed combined list 1 without any space. Or let's say combined list underscore 1. When I run this, this combined list is stored in another variable, and to get that list, I will copy and paste it, and when I run this, I'll get the combined list. So that's what the first method to combine the two lists. And another method to combine the two lists is nested list method. And in that case, I'll use a square bracket method, same as I did in plus method, and instead of using plus sign between the list, I'll give a comma. So let's copy the name of the first list using the same example, copy, and inside the square bracket, I paste it, and then I gave a comma, and I copied the name of the second list and paste it. When I'll run this, I'll get the same result. Lists are copied. And in the same manner as I gave the name combined list one, let's name it as nested list, no space, nested list underscore one. When I run this, these two lists are stored in nested list one. And to get these two combined list, I will copy the nested list, paste it, and when I'll run this, I'll get the combined list. So this was the nested list approach to combine the two lists, and that's how we can combine two or more lists. As we can combine two elements, as we can add elements, new elements in a list, we can also remove elements from a list. So let's say from the list neighboring countries, I'll copy this and paste and run this to reproduce the list. And this is the neighboring countries list. And let's say I want to remove Bhutan, which I added just now. So elements can also be removed from the list. And there are different methods to remove the element from the list. The first method is remove function, and the second method is by using its index number, and pop method and del function removes the element by using its index number. So I added two new elements in the list, Nepal on the third index and Bhutan in the last of the list. So the first method, which is remove function, is removes the element by its name. For example, let's say I want to remove the name of Afghanistan from the list, or say Nepal from the list, which I just added. So I will copy the name of the list, give a dot, and use the remove function. And inside parentheses, I'll give the name of the country which I want to remove. And let's say I want to remove Bhutan. So I will just type Bhutan and I'll run this. And to see whether Bhutan is removed from the list, I will copy the name of the list again and run this. And I will scroll down to see, and here Bhutan is removed from the list. Let's add some new cells below the current cell. And so here Bhutan is removed from the list, and I remove an element from the list by using remove function. Other methods are del function and pop method, and these methods can remove the elements of a list by its index number. So let's see how we can use pop method to remove the element from a list. So let's say I want to remove Nepal from the list, and the index number of Nepal is 3 because it is on the fourth position. And let's confirm so that I don't make the mistake which I did earlier. It's 0, China 1, Afghanistan 2, Nepal 3. So index number of Nepal is 3. So I want to remove the index, remove the third element from the list, the fourth element from the list, which has index number 3. So I will copy the name of the list, I will give a dot, and then I will type pop, and inside the parentheses I will give the index number of the element which I want to remove. And Nepal is in the fourth position in the list and it has an index 3. So I'll type 3, and when I'll run this, it will produce return Nepal and remove it from the list. And to confirm this, I will copy the name of the list and run this. And here I can see that Nepal is removed from the list. So pop function returns the element which I specified and removes it from the list. So here it's removed. Now let's see how we can remove an element from the list by using del function. And to do so, we will use del function, give the name of the list, and again, this is also based on index number. So we will specify the index number of the country or the element which we want to remove from the list. And this time, let's say I want to remove Iran from the list. Now let's see how we can remove a specific country by its index number using del function. So in this method, we will type del, give an space, and copy the name of the list. And inside a square bracket, we will provide the index number of the element which we want to remove from the list. And let's say if we want to remove the name of Iran from the list, it's on the 4th position in the list, so its index number will be 3. So type the index number, the element, run this, and it's removed and stored in the list. And to see whether it is removed, we will copy the name of the list and run this. And now here we can see that Iran is removed from the list. So that was del method to remove an specific element from a list by using its index number. So we saw how we can remove elements from the list by using remove function, by using pop method, and by using del function. So these were some methods to remove the name of an element or to remove an element from the list. Now let's see how we can sort a list. We can sort a list by alphabet words as well as by number. So let's create a list of numbers and a list of alphabet, and then perform sort function or see how we can sort list, type of list, whether it is integer or alphabet, and both in ascending order and descending order. To sort a list, we use sort method, and by default, sort method sorts a list in ascending order. If it is alphabetical list, it is sorted in ascending order, and if it is a numerical list or list of integers, it is sorted from smallest number to largest number. So let's create two lists. One is word and one is numbers, and then see how we can sort those lists. So let's create a list and name it as number, and numbers is equals to use a square bracket to create the list, and just give the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So we created a list of numbers and we run this. The list is stored in numbers. Similarly, create another list of words. Let's say name it words, which equals to use a square bracket and type the alphabets. Let's type, since the alphabets are strings, so these will be typed in single quote or double quote. I'm using single quotes, comma, third element, comma, fourth element, then comma, fifth element, then sixth element, single quotes, sixth element. I'll run this. So now both the lists are created. One list is list of number, the second list is list of words. And now let's use sort function to sort this list. So to apply sort function, we will copy the name of the list or numbers. The list name is numbers, give dot sort, and in just parentheses. And by default, sort function sorts a list of numerical value from shortest value to largest value. So when I run this, it's sorted. And to see the result, I will copy the list name and run this, and now it's sorted from the smallest value to largest value. Now let's apply the same sort function on the words list. So copy the name of the list. Copy the name of the list, paste it, give a dot, and sort. When I'll run this, it is stored. And to see the result whether it is sorted, we will again copy the name of the list and run this, and now we can see that the list is ascending order. There is no difference in the output because we created the list in the ascending order, so it's the same order. Again, we can see that when we ran multiple codes in the same cell, we only get the result of last code that we run. In order to get the result of all the codes that we run in the single cell, we will use print function and enclose the entire expression inside parentheses. We will do the same with the words list. And now when we'll run this, we'll get both the list, and both the lists are sorted in ascending order. We can also sort them in descending order, but in that case, we will have to give an argument, and that argument will be ascending is equals to false. Or we can also give the argument reverse is equals to true. So inside the parentheses, we will add an argument reverse is equals to true. And with the number list, we will do the same with the number list. Reverse is equals to true. And when we will run this, both the lists are sorted in descending order. That is, the number list is sorted from greatest value to smallest value, or largest value to smallest value, and the alphabetical list is sorted in descending order too. So that's how we can sort lists, whether it is a list of integer or whether it is a list of words or alphabets. We can sort them in ascending and descending order. We can also update an element of a list by its index number. In that case, we will type the list name. We will provide the index at which index of the element which we want to update, and then we will provide the updated value of the element which we want to change. So Let's see for the numbers list. Let's say if we want to replace 5 with 50. So we will first see the index number of that specific element, and in this case 5 is on 5th position, which means that by zero based indexing it will have an index 4, because first element will have an index 0, so 5th element will have an index 4. So let's see, let's copy the name of the list, that is numbers, and inside a square bracket I'll give the index number of the element which I want to update or change, and that index number is 4, because 5 is on the 4th. Index number 5 is on 5th position, and the index number of 5th position is 4. And I will give a equals to sign and will provide the updated value which I want in place of 5. So let's say I want 50 in place of 5. When I run this, it is stored in the list, and to get the result, I will again copy the name of the list and run this, and now I get 50 in place of 5. So by using the index number of 5, I updated the value of 5 to 50. Let's do the same with the words list. Again, I will copy the name of the list, which is words. Then inside a square bracket, I will provide the index number of the word which I want to replace. And let's say the last list is sorted in descending order, and this is the list which will be generated. Let's say, yes, this is the list which will be generated. So this is the last updated list, and I want to replace or update one of its element. And let's say I want to replace D with O, and in the last list, D is on the 3rd position, which means that it will have an index 2. So inside a square bracket, I will provide the index number, I will give an equals to sign, and will provide the updated value with which I want to replace this value. So since the updated value is a string, so I will use either single quote or double quote, both works the same, and provide the updated value, which is O. When I run this, it is stored in the list, and to see the result, I will again copy the name of the list and run this, and now here I can see that D is replaced with O, or the value of 3rd element of the list is updated from D to O. So this was the method to update the value of the list for both list of integers and list of words. And again, we can see that when we run multiple codes in single cell, we only get the result of last code which we run. So to get the results of all the codes, we will enclose all the expression inside print function. So I will type print and enclose the entire expression in print function. Again, print and enclose the entire expression in the print function. Now when I run this, I will get both the lists, and both the list values are updated with the desired value. In the numbers list, 5 is replaced or updated with 50, and in the words list, D is replaced or updated with O. So this was the method to update the value or element of the list. We can also create copies of list, and to create copies of list, we have two options. We can either use the variable method to create a copy of the list. We can use slicing method to create a copy of the list, and we can also use copy function. So basically there are three ways to create copies of list. The first way is to assign another variable to the list. So a new list will be created with a new name. The second method is using the slicing function, and to create a copy of entire list, we will not specify any value in the stop and start argument. And the third method is the use of copy function. So let's come back to the notebook and see how we can create copies of list. So let's add some new rows or new cells below the current cell, and let's say I want to use the names of country or list of countries to create copies. So first I'll run to see it's same. Now in slicing method, we use the name of the list, and inside a square bracket we give argument, that is start and stop. So here if you want to copy the entire list, we will not provide any argument and leave the start and stop argument blank, and just give a colon inside a square bracket. And when we'll run this, a copy of entire list will be created, and we can name it as new list 1. When we'll run this, this entire list is stored with a new name, that is new list 1. And to get the list, we will type new list 1 and run this, and we'll get the copied list. So this was the slicing method to create copy of a list. The other method is just assign another variable to the list. So let's see how we can create a copy of list by using that variable method. First, copy the name of the original list to regenerate the original list. So it's the original list, and let's see, we want to create a copy. We will just give another name to this list, and we will give it new list 2. When we'll run this, this list is stored in another variable with a new name, and to get the list, we will copy and paste the new list name, new list 2, and we'll run this. When we run this, we get the copy of the list. So these were the two methods, slicing method to create a copy of list, and variable method to create a copy of this. And the third method is the use of copy function. So let's generate the original list first, copy its name and paste it, run this. Here is the original list, and by using copy function, we will give a dot and copy, and we will use parentheses. We'll run this, we'll get the copy of this list, and we can name this as new list 3. When we'll run this, this list is stored in another list which is named as new list 3, and to get the list, we'll copy its name and paste it and run it. When we'll run it, we'll get the copy of list. So these were the three methods to create copy of a list. So that's good for today. See you in next video. Allah Hafiz.